Oh, besides the stuff that they sent.
I got 10 weeks and I'm staring at
Already? Oh, look at that. All right, welcome everyone. We're glad to have you here. This is the City Council meeting for the City of Rexburg for March the 4th of 2026. We're glad to have such a massive crowd here. Yeah, John, talking to you. Yeah, we're talking quality over quantity. That's right. So, all right, let's go ahead and start this evening with a pledge and with a prayer and a pledge. I've asked Councilmember Teachin to offer the opening prayer, after which I've asked Councilmember Johnson to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear Heavenly Father, we're thankful for the opportunity we have built to gather as a city and to discuss matters that are important to the staff and as well as to the community. We ask that thou please bless us and we might be able to have thy spirit to be able to make wise decisions and be able to have discernment. We're grateful for the opportunity we have to be able to live in such a great city, and we ask that thou help us to be able to keep it that way. And we say these things in Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. All right. Let's go ahead with our roll call of our council members, please, Mariana.
Here. Peachen.
Here.
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 Eric Erickson.
Here.
Okay, thank you. We have a full quorum. So we will move forward. Let's go ahead with item number 3 on the agenda, which is a welcome of one of our new employees, our new team member. That is Tanner Grover. He'll be joining the wastewater collections team here in Rexburg. So Tanner, if you'd come up and just take a minute and help us to get to know you a little bit.
Up in the Rexburg area. I graduated Madison High School and I worked for UPS and Golden West Irrigation before this.
Mm.
And I like to snowmobile and do wildlife photography.
Cool. Well, good. Thank you. We appreciate that. Is there any questions for Tanner before we let him go? Well, thank you. We're glad to have you as a member of our team, and we're going to give you a big hand. And one thing that we would like you to note is we have our police heroes in the city and our fire and EMT heroes that do a lot of important work, keeping us safe and things. And we regard our water and wastewater people as heroes too, because the work you do is very, very important. Anything that goes wrong, right, Riker? We hear about it really quick, right? So Riker does a great job down there, and we're looking forward to having you working there along with him. So it's great. Thank you very much. And welcome to your wife and your fiance. We're glad to have you here with us as well. So great. Okay. I meant Riker's wife and your fiance, not people that could get misconstrued a little bit. Just wanted to make that clear. Okay. Welcome to all of you. Okay, thank you. We are going to move on to item number 4, which is a time for public comment. This is for a time for items that are not on the agenda. If anyone would like to make us aware of anything, please come up to the podium and state your name and address. Yes, sir.
Jason Porter, 839 Engelman Street, right on the corner of Engelman and Pioneer Road.
Okay.
Want to start off, I wrote down what I say so I don't get flustered. I want to start off by expressing my deep respect for this council and your obvious commitment to our police department. Thank you. I recognize that you're trying to address a critical infrastructure need with this bond vote. And I appreciate your stated goal of keeping your outreach educational. However, after reviewing the minutes from your January 21st meeting, in which you made the decision to put the police station bond up for another vote, I'm concerned that the planned strategy by the city, as directed by this council, has crossed the legal line from neutral information into active persuasion, which is a violation of the Public Integrity in Elections Act, Idaho Code Section 74. The law is clear. Public meetings, funds, efforts, and outreach cannot be used to advocate for a yes vote or in any way have the intention of influencing the vote of the public on a bond. Yet the minutes of your meeting clearly record the following 5 specific statements and strategies that are in violation of this state law. Number 1, targeting for persuasion. The city's consultant, Amy Hawley, explicitly identified a segment of our community as the quote, movable middle. She stated that these are voters who, quote, could potentially be persuaded to support the bond through city efforts. Using taxpayer-funded and city-endorsed surveys to identify which residents to persuade is the very definition of a political campaign, something that should be done by a political party or activist group, not by the Rexburg city government. Number two, sufficient timing for promotional activity. Council President Eric Erickson expressed that, quote, ensuring voter support is critical. He cautioned that a May vote might risk another failure, meaning that this council's decision was influenced by its efforts to try to time the election in a way that would best get the bond to pass. Council President Erickson further suggested that the best approach would be to launch a comprehensive public outreach and educational campaign, implying that the goal of this was to provide enough time to provide sufficient outreach efforts to get the bond to pass. Number three, favorable election windows. Similarly, Mayor Merrill noted that the November election time period is uncertain because other entities like the school district might propose their own bond measures. He stated that he expressed support for a May vote as, quote, a more favorable timing option, revealing again that the vote has been timed in a way to try to get more people to vote yes. Number four, influencing the no voters. Councilmember Tejan commented that extensive outreach like door hangers is important because some voters only encounter the issue on the ballot. She stated that seeing a reduced bond amount in outreach efforts and on the ballot, quote, could prompt some voters to support the measure who otherwise might vote no, revealing that the goal of these outreach efforts is explicitly to try to sway voters to vote yes. Number five, mitigating tax concerns. Ms. Hawley noted that since residents recognize the need for a police station, their tax concerns, quote, could potentially be mitigated through additional information. When the goal of information is not to inform, but to mitigate a voter's concerns so that they would instead vote yes, it is no longer neutral information, no longer neutral education. Mayor, you yourself noted that voter concern over taxes is an educational matter. But under Idaho law, the city's job is to tell us the cost and the purpose and the consequences, not to, quote, bridge the gap to a supermajority, as was the decision of this very council in January. Your own city attorney, Spencer Rammel, warned that if these actions are seen as advocacy, it could, quote, risk invalidating the election results. I'm here to say that whether or not these actions are seen as advocacy, they are advocacy in clear violation of state law. Your own words have proven that the survey, the reduced project scope and bond amount, and the timing of the vote are all efforts by this council to secure that the election outcome is the outcome this council so outwardly prefers. If the election is held in May under these influences, it will be an invalid election. Your efforts to influence the vote may require that you cancel the election. At the very least, it will require that you act with integrity to give equal time, consideration, and outreach efforts to inform voters of all the potential negative effects of the bond, including the effect on traffic, noise, and property values in the residential area on or around Pioneer Road. I'm urging the council to cease these attempts to persuade the, quote, movable middle. Please protect the integrity of the election by sticking to neutral facts and letting the voters of Rexburg decide for themselves without the influence, whether intended or not, of a government-funded persuasion campaign. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. All right, we will refer those items to our legal counsel and take a look at it. Thank you very much. All right, is there anyone else who would like to speak? Anyone? Oh, here we have one more. Okay. Or another, I should say.
100 Marigold in Rexburg. And I wanted to say thank you for not cutting down the big old palm tree at the northwest corner of that new park area down by the river. It's an awesome tree. All people in there. They trimmed it up real nice and pruned all the damage away from it. And it's going to be a heritage tree to take.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And yeah, it takes a long time to grow a big tree like that. So I really didn't want them to cut it down. So thank you. Appreciate that. Anyone else? Is there anyone online? No? Hearing none, then we will go ahead and move forward with our item number 5 on our agenda, which is our staff reports. We'll start with our Parks and Recreation report with our Parks and Rec Director, John Lewis. Come on up, John. Item number 1 is the update on the Teton River Park and Steiner Park construction. Excuse me.
Yeah, so as you guys know, this park has been in the works for quite a while. And we have finally started the construction efforts for this. We got crews out there starting the grading. So we're hoping that construction will kind of go smoothly out there. And just kind of wanted to also update you guys on a couple of changes that we've made within a certain section of the park. We have a bouldering area that we have discussed, and initially we were going to have 3 larger boulders and 2 smaller ones, and we've kind of switched it up a little bit and gone with 4 bigger ones, and we'll kind of provide some smaller ones for kids to be able to kind of jump on and play around. But you know, as we kind of met together, we just decided that, you know, if we're going to include this cool feature into it, we want to make sure that we do it in a way to where we can get all types of ages out to be able to participate in abilities. So whether it's, you know, people who are just beginning or people who want to challenge themselves a little. So that's just kind of what our thought process was there on trying to expand this area. Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
Do you know how tall the tallest ones are?
It's like 14.
Nice. That's awesome.
So yeah, it's, you know, it'll pose a little bit of a challenge for some people. And like I said, we'll still have some stuff for the littles to be able to climb around on and jump on as well. So.
Yes, go ahead.
Is that a safety concern with having it be 14 feet? Like, do we need to have is that a liability issue for us?
So it'll be like a squishy type of a pad, but I also think at the end of the day too, you know, people should know what their abilities are in that park, and even with like younger kids, you know, I'm a parent myself, so we got to make sure that we're watching our children as we're out there too, and they're not, you know, biting off more than they.
So we're clear of any potential problems with that? If a kid whose parent maybe isn't watching falls, are we liable for any injury? Do you know, Spencer? Where it's a public park?
I don't think it'd be any worse than like some of our play toys in the other, in Nature Park, you've got that one. I mean,
Yeah,
it
but
does have
it's
ropes and stuff,
designed
but
to like climb
yeah.
high, and so I'm just putting it out there.
It's designed to a standard of industry standard. And so again, so we can't rid ourselves of any statutory municipality liability, but again, whether we're talking about parks, golf courses, trails, it's to industry standard. And so if there's an industry standard that's created, and so again, without looking into it further and talking with our department head.
I think like John says, you've got that softball and they require a certain amount of that for every foot that you go up. You have to go a certain amount with that softball so that it absorbs that impact. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, and my children boulder, so I'm really excited about this because I feel like we don't have anything that teenagers can do. And you bring your own crash pad if if you do it, you bring your own crash pad and you put it down too. So I just think, it's the same as a child who, like when my kids were younger, they would climb up on top of the swings. That's in the parks if I wasn't watching. So it's kind of like that kind of thing where you got to watch your kids.
Yeah. But those concerns are very valid too, and I'd be willing to look more into anything that you would want me to be able to explain that a little bit better. So
Just if we needed like a sign into the entrance of the park saying that.
yeah, there's going to be signage there. I mean, that's very typical
Your own
of parks like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That we're not, yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Real quick question.
Yes.
Is that- I guess maybe gotta turn my microphone on. Is that natural stone or is it kind of a man?
It's manufactured.
Okay.
Yeah, but we will have some natural stone out there, which will be the smaller ones that we'll place for kids to be able to jump on. Because believe it or not, those manufactured stones are actually pretty expensive. So
Really expensive.
yeah. Thank you. Yep. And then also, we wrote it. Just wanted to kind of show what we had design wise with Steiner Park. We've gone through a couple of iterations for this park, and it's not necessarily finalized, but just kind of wanted to show council just kind of what we had. If the PDF decides to act correctly.
Enormous smile.
It's like,
But yeah, just kind of wanted to point out a couple different things there, and if you guys see anything that you would like for us to possibly revisit, we're obviously very open to that. But so down here at the bottom, we have our pavilion that'll be here. We have a playground that will be enclosed with a fence because we do have a canal that is a little bit further back in the park. And one of the concerns that we really had was the smaller kids kind of wandering down there. So we wanted to put that closer towards the parking lot and an enclosed area so that it was a little more safer for them to be out there. We do have a pavilion that we'll put here along with a walking trail that'll kind of go all throughout this park area. This park, as of right now, is going to be flood irrigated, but we are going to be doing some more studies to kind of make sure that that's the best way to go about it. We've contacted other cities who do similar things and kind of asked them, uh, what struggles that you guys have with maybe kids coming out to those parks during those hours. Is it something that, disappears relatively quickly? So for us, one of the things that we're going to have to do is we're going to have to test it out ourselves and just kind of see where we're at in terms of how long it takes for that water to kind of disappear before we make a final decision on how we're going to water that park.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I do have a question on that. Because isn't the school in Teton flood irrigated?
Correct.
Yes.
Doesn't that water sit like for 24 hours?
It's somewhere around that time frame.
Yeah, we had Cole, because Cole used to live out there, and so he knows the public works guy, and so he called him and checked with him, and he said, yeah, it's just kind of a 1 day thing. I don't know if it's 24 hours or 16 or whatever, but he said that the people in Teton love it. The kids all, and they come and they play in the water. They said it's the most popular day of the park because they all come and play in the water, and he says they love it. So
So there's not a risk to like if they drink it or like if children
not
drink
any more than, if they're drinking. I mean, there's always going to be some risks, but generally, I don't know, Canelo water. I swam the canal when I was a kid, and I'm sure I drank some of it. But of course, that might explain some things. But anyway, I don't think there's a huge risk anymore than it's just kind of like what Spencer was saying. It's sort of comes with the territory of the of the standard way that you do things in certain situations. And so, and our liability is an umbrella coverage that would cover any claims. But I honestly, I mean, like Keith does the same thing at his house. He waters the lawn, and the kids go out and skimboard on it and everything. And so I think it'll be a really fun activity, and I can't imagine it really being a terribly risky thing. Probably not less than a lot of other things that kids can do. So. Anyway, any other thought or this discussion? Yes, go ahead.
Is the white patch there in the trees?
That's a yeah, it's a collecting
Okay.
pond for the drainage. And when you get a lot of like a big huge rainstorm, you'll have some that might run out of that pond down on the bottom through underneath, and it'll run down in there and collect, but then it disappears pretty quickly too.
So these will just be wide open fields?
Yeah.
Are there any plans to make them into any kind of sports field?
No, they're just going to be
So kind of like
fields
Eagle
for
Park, where
anyone
it's just
to.
open.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of an area where people can go and just kind of do what they want. They can play frisbee, they can set up volleyball standards, and just kind of an open thing. If if you're coaching a soccer team, you could take them up there and practice or whatever. But we're not gonna stripe them and make them official. It's just going to be areas where people can go and use it and have fun. And maybe over time, I don't know, who knows, maybe we'll up in that big upper part, maybe we'll look at some kind of who knows, I don't know. There's all kinds of possibilities, playground equipment or exercise type things, that you see in the magazines and stuff. But right now we just we only have the money
Right.
to do that, this part. Yes, Councilmember Erickson.
Is there a way we can incorporate maybe a frisbee golf into this park? Cause it is wide open. It is areas that maybe we could do another small, frisbee golf course right there.
I mean, you could, but I don't think and I'm a part of the disc golf
I
community
knew that's-
myself.
That's why I'm asking.
I don't think that space is going to be big enough to really put a really good course on it. There are courses like McCowan Park down in Idaho Falls is like a smaller pitch and putt type of a deal. But I think for this area, I don't think it would necessarily be like the greatest fit, just because you need kind of ample space for some of those courses, and it can be a little dangerous if you got a lot of people in the area too. So
Yeah, and that's one of the things we got to think about too is, you know, the Teton River Park is more like Councilmember Johnson said for teenagers and up. This one is going to be really kind of more for smaller kids and families that live in those apartments over there and stuff. So, and we actually, when we develop the north part of Teton River Park, we've got a lot of area out there that I think we could do more frisbee golf, or sorry, disc golf, disc golf courses and things, because there'll be a lot more space, you know, out there for that kind of thing. So, yeah. So anyway, yeah, that's kind of what we're thinking. Yes.
And, okay, but then, so since the playground's gonna be fenced in, even if parents didn't want their children in that water when it's standing, they could just, the playground will be fenced in, so.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we want to fence that all the way around and just have a gate they can go in and out, because, you know, you got the street on one side and, you know, the canal down on the other end. So we want parents to feel comfortable if they're sitting on a bench there in the playground, that the kids can't really get away without actually.
Yeah, that was one of the major things we wanted to make sure that was incorporated, so it was a little safer. So
Yes, Councilmember.
Mr. Mayor, John, timing. What do you see timing wise for this
park
realization of this?
Yeah, so right now we're hoping to do something this summer. A lot of the funds for this park are going to be coming from urban renewal, I believe. So we don't have a distinct timeline nailed down for it yet, but when we do, I will make sure that I provide that to the rest of council.
One of the things we might point out to him is, one of the thoughts that we had is, we're kind of following the Keith Davidson model of how his yard was done with this. We think that we will be able to just start mowing, because that was a pasture before, so there are grasses already growing there. So we're just gonna have our parks people go out and just start mowing it and just kind of see what kind of grass develops. Because that's what he did with his yard, and you go out there now and it's a really nice grassy yard, and so that will save us a fair amount of money over, you know, digging it all up and killing it, you know, what's there, and replanting it, resodding it or whatever. So we think we can do it fairly inexpensively that way, and then just plant all the trees and things. But on the upper part, of course, it's been just farmed, so we'll have to do it differently. It'll be a little bit more conventional way, but we do have the tree grant that we're going to be ordering a bunch of the trees to be able to try to get them in this year, along with the irrigation system to make sure they get watered. So, yep, this summer is going to be a busy summer.
Indeed.
Any other questions, comments on this?
I had a question about the Teton River. I just saw some things online. Was that done all by a grant? Is that right? That all the money for the Teton River Park came from a grant, or has that been budgeted as well?
It's budgeted.
That's budgeted.
So it's not from a grant.
I wish it was. But
Yeah, I wanted just
Yeah,
to
we've been.
clarify that.
yeah. And we're constantly always looking for, you know, grants. You got the Land and Water Conservation and some of those different grants that come up on a rolling basis, and we try to put applications in for them, you know, all the time. But sometimes they're pretty competitive and you don't get them. So then it's another 2 years on some of them and another year on others. But we're always looking for more of those to be able to supplement what we're doing and take the pressure off the general fund for those. So, okay,
So-
anything else? Yeah.
So with that, with the parks budget, are we looking towards fixing up some of the parks that we have? Because I know that when I was out doing campaigning, that was a lot of people were concerned that we were building a new park, but our other parks have not been quote unquote well maintained. That was what they were saying. So is that something that we're
Yeah,
looking
so,
to make sure that we're making sure we're balancing?
yeah, so I'm working with our parks crew to kind of make sure that we work on some projects this summer to ensure the upkeep of the current parks that we do have. And we know that there are issues out there. And I've been meeting with Greg extensively to kind of come up with a plan for this upcoming spring to be able to address those. So we are working on that.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. And one of the things just to add to that a little bit is last year, it was kind of a bad year for you to be campaigning because last year we had some pretty bad issues that we had to deal with. You know, we had that really big line break over there at the Riverside Park. And so our fields were, you know, typically people were always raving about how our fields were the best ones anywhere and last year it was not that way because you know, we didn't have water on them for a long time and they got bad and stuff. So, you know, there was a little bit of a perception there that, you know, that we don't take very good care of them. And there are little things here and there, like some of the equipment, you know, it'll get broken or whatever, and it takes us a while to get the parts ordered and things like that. So there's always little things here and there, but overall, we've generally had pretty good, perception on, you know, the maintenance of our parks but we want to do it better.
Yeah, there are definitely areas that we can improve on and we intend to do so.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Unless there's anything else for John, we'll let you go. Thank you. Appreciate all the work you do. Thank you very much. All right. Let's move on to item number 2, which is our police facility bond discussion. And we've got Josh Rhodes, Chief Rhodes here, along with Assistant Chief Gary Hagan to talk about that and give us an update.
The opportunity to be here and address some of these things and just give a update on where we're at with the process here. Mr. Allred, I appreciate your comments. As we move forward, there's a lot of concern. There's a lot of things being brought up through social media, a lot of concerns through the survey. And so we've met ever since it was approved to move forward. Every Thursday, we're meeting and working on a plan to educate and to try to provide all the information that we can for the community. And right now, a lot of the information has been updated on the website. So that's our first focus was to use Portland Square to get all the correct information that we could, get it out for the public so we have that full transparency of where we're at, the changes that have been made. And so as you have time to jump into it, there's a lot of information, the survey results. One of the big concerns from the beginning was the number of people that came out and voted, and also the number of people who participated in the survey. We believe through the survey we did get enough to gather some information. Of course, we would love to get everyone out and vote and provide that accurate information. And so that has been our goal, is to be transparent, give all the information that we can. So if you do click on some of this information, Portman Square and Sarah from the city has done a phenomenal job of just helping put this together, help us get organized. I'm not going to jump into all of it, but highlight a few things. So as you click through some of these, it'll give all of the changes in square footage, the cost, the layout, the site plan design. It reduced from our original plan, took out the gray space. So this just shows what the conceptual design would be. With that, like we explained earlier, the design, if moved forward, would have the ability to add on. So this shows some of that gray space in a different area for that future growth in 20 to 30 years from now. As we've gone through, we jump back. The FAQ is another one, the frequently asked questions. We've really tried pulling questions from a lot of it comes from social media when there's a lot of the concerns that come up, trying to answer some of the questions here in different categories. And Portman Square, along with the bond council or legal counsel, has kind of gone through to help us make sure that we are in that phase of just educating and putting out the information.
we're working with some of the officers, pulling some of our statistics and concerns that people have had about noise concerns from the police station. Currently, we get credit for a lot of the fire and ambulance noise that leaves this general area. And so we can't be 100% accurate, just because we don't know what type of calls are going to be called in every single day. But statistically, we're trying to pull our numbers from the past year to just show the number of times officers leave the station, running code for the emergency lights and sirens. And so we can give a statistical number of that. We've looked at different traffic surveys on Pioneer Road, different ways to pull some statistics there. And so those are things that are in the works that we are working to pull the numbers and from actual statistics, and then potential growth if the station's not there, a complex goes in. There are a lot of different things that we're looking at and ways that we're trying to show both the pros and cons of where we're at. One of our officers has spent some time doing response times from our current location to some primary areas like Walmart, BYU Idaho campus, the high school, junior high, all different areas of the city. And so they pulled together numbers from current location and compared those response times from the Pioneer location. So there are definitely some slower response to the hospital compared to here to the hospital. But then some of the response times are quicker from there to certain spots on BYU Idaho campus, to the high school, to certain junior high schools. So there are definitely some pros and cons. Those are things that we're in the process of working on. We meet together every Thursday with Portland Square and our media team to just try to make sure we're putting out the accurate educational information. We have, I don't know if she did update the tax impact calculator. So that's something you can go in. I know Matt's explained this in the past, as far as the total cost and the taxable cost. And so some of the other information, contact forms, ways that we can answer questions and respond. Portland Square's been working with us on some of these responses to just make sure that we're providing a non-biased educational information back. Let me jump back. One of the other concerns, like I said, that was we didn't get a large voter turnout. So there's some more information in here too, to encourage more voters, to explain the early voting, absentee voting, if they're not registered but live here, to teach and educate people on how to register to vote. So doing our best to try to help get more of the public opinion. So we, like I said, we're in the process of doing a lot. We meet every Thursday just to gather information. We have an educational plan for putting out different social media posts to help educate on different aspects that are all covered in the website. So we don't have it all finalized at this point, but we're in the process of a plan, and Portland Square has been working with us to help put those messages together for that educational purpose. We do have a few town hall meetings scheduled, one on a Saturday, and I don't know if the dates are on here, but if they're not, we'll get them out there. We'll make sure they're part of the information. Then we have 3 tours of the police station, the current station, scheduled right now. And so we'll put all that information out and do our best to help educate where we can and answer questions. And again, we're always open to meet with members of the community. We've had quite a few people just stop at the police station and ask for a tour, and we've accommodated when we can. Most of the time we've been able to accommodate, but there are days where it's busy that we haven't been able to accommodate, but most cases we have. And so we're happy to walk anyone through and explain. So.
I did have a question, Mike. Are you hearing any of the negative information you're gathering with this? You said there's pros and cons. Are any of all the cons also be included on any public information being disseminated, social media posts and mailers and things like that?
Yeah. So for example, yeah.
All your concerns have been resolved.
So one of the things, like I mentioned, we're looking at like the response times. The way the officers designed it, and we'll make sure it reflects the accurate information. It'll show different locations. I'll say if you have to, you can just let it. It'll reflect a positive, meaning it's an increased response time from that location, or a negative increase from that location. And so we want to get that information out so it is accurate. So they're specifically to response time, there's some pros and cons. And so that's where our focus is to make sure we're getting all that information out. So.
One last thing on this. Increasing voter turnout is awesome. It's great. But if the goal of increasing voter turnout is to influence the election one way or another, like if the goal of this body in increasing turnout is to try to get it passed, then that's in violation of state law.
No, and we understand that too. Yeah. No. Our goal is to get public opinion. And that's with the survey, we wanted to gather as much information. So if there are concerns, there's issues that need to be addressed, we want to be able to answer those questions and address it for those people. So.
Really appreciate all of you. You guys are doing awesome.
I think, obviously, I think no secret that most of us are, are in favor, but addressing your concerns, we just want a big turnout so that we have. Yeah. No, not necessarily so that it passes. We want a big turnout so that we have an accurate reflection of what people really do want. And if we get 90% of the people that come out, 100 would be great, but I think we'd never expect that. But if we get a 95% turnout and it went down in flames, then obviously people don't want it, but we want to know that.
Okay, we're not going to go back and forth there. We've done public comment, and so again.
Yes, Chief.
No, and Mr. Allred, as we've met, as we work together, we want to get the information out as best we can to provide all the educational knowledge that we have to get as much public support, public information, and the public opinion. And that's where these public gatherings for the town hall meetings, our walkthroughs of the police station, is to be able to gather that information. And the FAQ on the website, those are areas, a lot of those are based off the questions and concerns that people have had. And so that's our goal, is to address those questions and concerns, because obviously it's the public that we want to serve better, and to be available to them, and to provide the best services that we can from the police station. So.
Okay. Thank you, Chief.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
When we talked about having Portman Square help with the bond, we talked about having them lower their rates. Do you know if that happened or not? Like if we went back and we were able to negotiate on that?
They did. Matt has that information. I don't have all the
That's all right.
information. I know when we met with them, they did lower it.
Okay.
Yeah, they reduced quite a bit. And then when we met with them on the survey, they actually came back. They had lowered their rates there too, but then when we got our final invoice, it was significantly lower than the original. And so they've been really good to work with. They've been quick to help us answer questions and concerns that people have. And our intent with that is to make sure that we are answering questions in the right way. And then they're helping us with a quicker response, working with Sarah. And we have some of the questions and concerns that came up last time that they're working to have kind of loaded answers. Like for some of the questions that we get are very similar. So we want to answer accurately, but some of them are just a way that we can respond quicker if it's the same question being asked multiple times. And so those are some of the things that we're working on is working to figure out how to get information out there to as many people as possible so they're aware of what the bond really is about.
I just want to thank you, Chief, for all the work you're putting into this and your team to be able to get the information out there. That's one thing we've seen on the survey, that trying to provide that information, trying to get that out to the public. So thank you for the work you're doing and the meetings and pushing that forward.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Yeah. So the first town hall will be the 18th of this month.
Prior to city council.
Yeah. So it'll be, I think we planned on 5 o'clock. So to give enough time. Last time we didn't have enough time to cover all the questions. And then the next one would be on a Saturday to try to bring in people that might not be able to make it on a weeknight. So yeah. So we'll get all that information out. So if there are no other questions, I appreciate the time you've given us. So thank you.
Yeah, so thank you, Mayor. So we have a supplemental agreement on that contract for that design of the road. And that's an additional $500,000 in there, 527,000 on that. And so we're just seeking council's approval on that to move forward. Yeah, just so this is the design of the road and bridge going from Barney Dairy Road to 7th North, 9th, kind of running along 9th East. And so as we've gone through that design and gone through the different studies with LTAC, the consultant with the extra things that had to be added in there, there was additional costs that came into it. LTAC is funding the majority of these costs. We're picking up our proportionate share, which is like a little over 7% of that.
This is just the design phase.
Yep. No. So the construction is coming up with that. So the idea on this one is that we are going to be entering into agreement with LTAC on funding the construction side of that. The estimated cost for that section is a little over $11 million. With LTAC coming up with additional funds. We originally were thinking it was going to be in the neighborhood of like 6-7 million. And so LTAC was going to be coming up with additional funds to help fund that, as well as the city urban renewal on funding that.
Excuse me, but those funds are not secured, the construction funds at this point.
From LTAC?
Yeah.
Yeah, they are anticipating that they will be secured coming in, because they're looking at a bridge fund that the state has that they can draw those funds from. So
typically they don't usually go, or correct me if I'm wrong, but once they give you the money for the design, pretty assured that they're going to give you the money for the construction.
yeah, generally speaking, it just depends when there's large dollar increases on there and where they can get the funds from. Yeah, and so with that, with our discussion with them, it sounded promising that those funds were going to be coming in for it. Because
Okay, if there are none, then I would entertain a motion to approve this supplemental agreement for the Orange Road from 7th North.
Mayor, I'll make that motion to approve the supplemental agreement on 7th North and Barney Dairy Road.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second to that motion? Second by Councilmember Riggins. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? All right, that motion passes. We will go ahead with that item.
Okay, so I've got a couple
Other items? Okay.
to bring up that aren't on the list. First off, just to bring your attention, so Max Egbert, who is our maintenance facility coordinator, has retired. So he retired, some things came up and he retired sooner than what we were expecting, and we were anticipating hiring another full-time employee to work with Max and get trained up before Max officially retired. But with the changes and things like that, Max ended up retiring February 20th. So we've been in the process of interviewing candidates to fill that position. And as we've interviewed the candidates on there, we actually have two really good candidates that we were interested in. And what we thought would be beneficial is if we could hire both of them. Obviously, we have, talking with Matt, we have it in the budget because we were going to have Max and this additional employee. We have one that's got some electrical experience. That's a journeyman electrician that would be beneficial in the building maintenance, but also outside in our public works side. We have a lot of street lights. We'd like to get someone trained as backup on our signals, so our traffic signals, as well as we've got in our water and wastewater, all the electrical stuff. And so we were working with the building department with their electrical inspector, Alex. But he has gotten busier and busier with all the new construction going on. So we are unable to utilize him. And so we have to hire out a lot more of the electrical work. And we felt like this would be a good opportunity, but we wanted to kind of seek council's input on that direction.
I just have a comment. I just know this has been discussed during the last budget process, and we're definitely moving forward with Max on doing this to try to get a licensed electrician in there. I think it's a great thing because as we grow, to have someone to be able to take that burden. I'm sad to hear Max left earlier than get him trained up in that, because there's a lot out there to learn. That's going to leave a big hole there to try to teach them and get them up to par, especially with their swimming pool and so forth. So I think we should move forward on it.
Yeah, and the primary funding for the position is going to come through Public Works. So we're going to be looking at streets. We're going to be looking at water, wastewater, and then also a small portion of the general fund. And it would be helpful because then they can also back up on obviously all the building stuff as well, and have some additional person trained where we just had Max before on that. So I think there's a benefit there as well.
You have a question?
I just want to make sure I'm understanding. When did you say we were planning on him retiring, Max? I forgot already.
It was going to be next year.
Okay.
So we were looking for a full year of training with Max, so that way we can get him up to speed, especially with the pool. Also with the ice rink coming online, I think having additional personnel would be beneficial there as well. But yeah, we were looking at with the splash park and all that, a year of training, also with all our HVAC equipment and things like that in our different buildings. That training is definitely valuable.
And that's why there'd be no budget adjustment because.
Yes.
And actually, and Max has agreed to, isn't he gonna come back and kind of help train them to just for as long as it takes, kind of a thing? Didn't we talk about that?
We can. Max is willing
to come help them out a little bit just to get them oriented.
Yeah, so he's not he hasn't just said, I'm out. Max is definitely a great employee for the city. He's willing to help out wherever it's needed on that.
Yeah, so, okay. All right, any other questions? All right, let's see.
So it's not an action.
Yeah, that's not an action.
So
item,
if council's
just
okay
a-
with us proceeding down that path, and we'll see it. And we'll go through the budget adjustments this coming cycle and putting all those things in. So.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, and then the last item wanted to go over, and Councilmember Johnson, we had a discussion and she thought it would be good, and which I think is good as well, is to kind of go over our sidewalk replacement criteria. So that way, I know we have new council members and not everybody has seen that. But just to kind of give a brief overview, we have this on our website. So when people have frequently asked questions on LADs, to go and say, you know, what do the engineers go out and look at for replacement criteria on sidewalk and curb and gutters. And so when you look at that, you can see the things that we're looking at, right, are safety hazards and then condition of the sidewalk. And so we look at vertical displacement of more than a half an inch. And then if we're looking, sometimes what we have when we talk about this 1.5 inches or greater between the sidewalk and back of curb, that's when we have the sidewalk and the curb together. When we get that separation, what happens, especially if the sidewalk drops, we get the water running down in between there and it will erode out and we'll get voids underneath the curb and gutter and sidewalk in those areas we want to protect against. And so that's what that one's kind of referring to. The other one is spalling or surface damage. Generally, we're looking at 50% of that spalled to a depth of 1/4 inch. So really that surface has come off of the sidewalk. And then also if we're looking at missing pieces or chunks out of the sidewalk, that could cause tripping hazards. And then when we're looking at crack or fissures along there, we're looking at in a section of the sidewalk, if there's 10 feet or more of cracks in that sidewalk, or if the crack is a 1/2 inch or wider for 3 feet along there. And so and then obviously voids under the sidewalk, depressions. So anywhere that, like if we got a depression and water can fill in there and freeze, then we've got an ice hazard. And then obviously if there's not existing sidewalk, then we'd be requiring the sidewalk to be put in at that location. And this is when we're coming in doing street reconstruction projects. So is there questions on that? Yeah.
I appreciate you doing this. The reason I wanted to go over this is because in our last meeting when like Summerfield for specifically because I live close to there. So and I have a picture here that I took of what they're asking to replace there. And so does this fall into the 10 feet or more per which one does this fall into?
You know, I would say definitely that north one, and I haven't gone out to measure them up or anything like that. Because it looks like that crack is wider than a 1/2 inch on that north piece, and then the other cracking and the holes in it would look like it would fall within those parameters of just those 2 pieces being replaced.
Because when we were out there, I mean, I didn't feel like it met that criteria. I brought my husband too. And I just think that we would build more trust in our residents if we did everything we could, like we could grind that. Like, I don't know why that has to be replaced. I have sidewalk that looks like that's 2 years old. It looked like that after we lived in our house for 2 years. So, I mean, I know maybe everyone else disagrees with me, but if that's our standard, because that sidewalk is about 10 years old. And so to me, that's too high of a standard, because in this area where we have this harsh climate, it looks like that after a couple of years. So why not grind that down and not make them replace it?
Can I say something on this here? So in where we live, right? Because we have freeze and melt and freeze and melt.
That's what I'm saying.
So the issue here is once you get those kinds of cracks, you can grind it all you want, but it's going to move next year. You're going to have to grind it again. It's going to move because the water goes in, it freezes, it expands, and so it makes that crack wider. Then the water goes in and expands again and makes that crack wider. And then it gets underneath, right? And then as soon as it swells, and so it lifts. So there's this constant movement that's taking place. The issue, and I don't know if we want to raise our standards. There's multiple little things happening. One, there's guarantee you there's no steel in that to hold it together so that it doesn't lift so you're going to get cracks no matter what. You're going to get cracks. Concrete's going to crack. It's just going to crack no matter what you do to it. But there's probably no steel in there, which causes it to separate the way you see that separation, number one. Number two, I don't know what we're requiring for preparation for concrete ahead of time when a company like this is building a neighborhood and they're putting in the sidewalks. Are we asking them to put the right kind of base underneath it so that this can be controlled, right? So anyway, but this it'll just be an annual with time, just because of where we live and what it does. Water is the most destructive element we have, and once you get those kinds of cracks in there, it's going to go and it's just going to widen, and it just continues to move year in, year out.
Yes, go ahead.
I guess that's what, I mean, I know you might disagree with me. I guess that's what I'm trying to say is, if we're making people replace their sidewalk after every 2 years, then that, to me, that's too high. So our residents are saying these bills are too high for us. I'm just trying any ideas I can come up with to lower the bills. Like, why don't we try to make it easier for the residents? So I'm just throwing things out there. I'm doing my best to try, because they say, hey, this is too expensive for me. So I think we could try. It's going to look like you're going to replace it, and it's going to look like that again in 3 years, because that's what happens, So that was my point, was that you're going to fix it. It's going to look like that again in just a couple of years because of what Councilmember Reagan said. So.
I don't know. That looks like probably someone ran over it, would be my guess of why that's cracked like it is. But I would say the other thing that, right, we look at is we're not coming back probably for 30, 40, maybe even 50 years. And people don't go generally on their own. That's not always the case. There's some people that go out and say, I want to fix my sidewalk. I'm going to come in and do it. But I think if you look throughout our community at the sidewalks, we don't have very many people that go and do that. And so if we're going to be back here in 30, 40, 50 years, that's a long time, right? It's not like we're coming in and every couple of years saying, hey, you gotta fix that again. So I mean, I do get that concern that if we were coming in 2 years and being like, oh, that broke again, now you got to fix it again. But I think when we look at it on the engineering perspective of how long is it going to be before we get back into there, and it's going to be a number of years before that happens.
Question? Yes, go ahead.
And Keith, you'd know this better than I, which is why I'm asking. Is there anything to do where you could seal that up with some kind of a material to keep the water from getting in there? Or is that crack too wide for something like that to work and, get by for a little longer with it?
Yeah, I mean, there's different attempts people make. You can see it in different areas where they try and come in and fill those cracks in and seal it up. It's difficult, right? Because expansion, contraction, generally trying to come in and doing something like that. A lot of times it's probably cheaper just to pull the concrete and re-pour it. A lot of times we find if you're grinding, the amount of time it takes to come in and grind a section of concrete down. Those are things that we do look at. Like if a homeowner came and said, hey, is there a way I could come in and grind this? Probably if we were hiring someone out, they're going to be far cheaper to just pull it and then pour another piece of concrete in its place.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's something that's a quick grind, because I've seen, like Councilmember Johnson said, I've seen some places, and actually we've done it here in a couple places too, where it's lifted up and you can just grind off the edge and smooth it down so that it's not a trip, but the rest of the concrete's in good shape. And I think there's things like that you can do fairly quickly that are cost effective, but if you're
and I think we would look at with working with a homeowner, because I mean, obviously a sidewalk, we allow the homeowner to do the repair themselves on that. And so if the homeowner came in and said, hey, this is what I want to look at doing, we'd just take a look at it and say, okay, whether we'd say, yeah, we think that we're okay with that. If we were to come in with our general contractor that we hire and try and do a bunch of these things, I think our costs would be extremely high.
Yeah, just as much. Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Appreciate that, going over that. I think that was good exercise to go over those requirements so that all the council members are aware of that. That's good to know.
Yeah, and we'll probably have more things with the LID committee is meeting tomorrow night at 5. And so we're gonna be going over different ideas that maybe we can have, that we can do as a city with that, so.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay. Let's move on to item number 6, which is mayor's business. It's been a lot going on lately. One of the things, just report a little bit on our John Schmidt concert that we had. We had a gala event the Friday night that he was here, and then the concert on Saturday night. And I don't have any official numbers, but I think between the two events, we raised probably right around $150,000. I think, wouldn't you, Brett, kind of ballparking it should be about close, I think, don't you think? Yeah. Yeah, and then the gala event was I think there was $50,000 raised from that. So they were good events. It was a really nice event. I think people enjoyed it and that kind of a thing. So it was good. At least we got something. We appreciate BYU Idaho's willingness to help us out there with the venue and all of the ticket cells and all those kind of things. So thank you for that. We appreciate that. And Beehive Credit Union, of course, for their support in sponsoring Mr. Schmidt to get him here. That was great as well. So we've had several ribbon cuttings that I've attended. A lot of different businesses around town that are popping up here and there, and a lot of them are, small, just local people owned businesses, and then of course some of the others that we've got coming up are going to be more some of your national chain type things and that kind of thing too. But there's a lot of business activity in the area, so that's a good thing. We do have the business competition this Saturday. If you've ever wondered what those are like, you're welcome to come here. I think it starts at 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. And they'll be going for several hours. You could kind of come anytime during the day and just watch what's going on. If you have any questions about that, you could talk with Scott or Aaron, and they can give you more details on that if there's certain things that you'd like to see there. So that'll be interesting. We have, let's see, we had an interesting, I attended the LEPC meeting this morning, and Brett Crandall was there along with our IT director, Todd Smith, and let's see who else from the city was there. I think that was it. Or no, one of our GIS, Greg from our GIS was there too. And if you don't know what LEPC is, that stands for Local Emergency Preparedness Committee. And we meet once a month. And we talk about different things that we are doing to be prepared for emergencies. And this morning was interesting. We did a tabletop exercise about the measles. As you maybe have heard in the news, there's been a few measles outbreaks. We had one case here in Madison County that came up from Utah, and they've had quite a fairly good sized outbreak down there in Utah, and so we talked about what we would do. All of the different we have the hospital, we have the health department, we have the schools represented, we have churches, we have Brett from BYU Idaho, as well as some other folks from up there. And we talk a lot about, okay, what would we do and how would we handle these emergencies? We try to do a lot of coordination and, who would do what and that kind of a thing. So if you've ever wondered if bad things happen, who does what? Well, that's the meeting where we talk about who's going to do what. And we try to be as organized and ready as we can. And of course, we can't see everything, but we do try to figure out what the best procedures would be. And then today here in this room, we had our city employees also did a safety training on emergency procedures. If we had emergencies here And Brandy laid out a bunch of different different things that could happen, like, tornadoes or shootings, different things like that. And we talked about where things are and what we would do, and those kind of things, where the exits are, that everybody would know the fastest way out. We had a fire and a lot of things like that. So we're trying to be proactive and ready for unforeseen events. And usually when you're ready, they don't happen. So that's what we're trying to do, right? Make them not happen. Yes.
So did they do that for all the buildings or just City Hall, like how to get out?
We did that for this building on this particular one, but then Brandy will be scheduling, I think, I'll have to ask her for sure, but yeah. I don't know that those are on the agenda right now, but I can ask her about it and see if they're looking at doing some of those as well, because we probably should. I think.
Interesting to try and do one where we have to clear the romance in the tabernacle.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, I'll make a note of that. That's not a bad idea. She may have that on the agenda. I just don't know. We didn't talk about that, but I'll ask her. Either Brandy or Mariana might be taking on that role, from what I understand. Is that true? So yeah. So anyway, you heard what Councilmember Tejan suggested, right? And that's probably not a bad idea. So okay. Organize emergency drills at other buildings. Okay. Okay, thank you for that input. The senior center asked me to come over and do another State of the City address at their luncheon yesterday. So I was over there visiting with them, and they were asking me lots of questions about what's coming to town, interested in different businesses coming to town. So that's always a fun event to visit with them. I don't know that you'd want to watch it, but if you do, there's on East Idaho News and on Channel 8 on their Facebook pages, the Channel 8 news guy was there and he recorded the whole thing. So like 48 minutes. So, all right. I believe that's about all of the things that I have on my list here to report on. So let's go ahead and move to item number. Well, we have nothing on item number 7. Item number 8 is calendared bills. We have 2 second readings that we need to take care of. Item number 1 is ordinance number 1344, which is the annexation and rezone of approximately 1600 North, 2nd East into the city of Rexburg, and to rezone from transitional agriculture zone to community business center. Is there any questions or comments about this item that we voted on last time? Is there any things that have come up or any questions or comments that anyone has on this? If there is none, I would entertain a motion to consider ordinance 1344 second read.
I'll make a motion that we consider ordinance 1344 second read.
Thank you, Councilmember Johnson. Is there a second to that? Second by Councilmember Reeser. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we consider ordinance 1344 second read. Ordinance number 1345 is the creation of local improvement district 55. Excuse me. The boundaries encompass real property primarily along Birch Avenue, Ash Avenue, 4th west from south, 2nd south to 5th south, 7th south from 12th west to the west end of Summerfield subdivision, as well as several miscellaneous properties. Okay, this is ordinance number 1345. Is there any questions or comments on this item before we move forward? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to consider ordinance 1345 second read.
Mayor, I'll make that motion to consider the second read.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second to that motion? Second by Council Member Eric Erickson. Any further discussion on that item? Hearing none, all in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. We will consider ordinance 1345 second read. We have no third readings. And oh, excuse me, we do have one third reading. Got to turn the page. Ordinance number 1343, which is to consider the Rexburg Police Facility Bond Election Ordinance to seek funding for the construction of a new Police Facility in the May 19th, 2026 election. This is a third reading. Is there any questions or comments on this item before we move forward? From council? Yes.
Question.
Yes.
So in light of what we've heard tonight, Spencer, do you see any problem moving forward with this? Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. Then I would entertain a motion to consider ordinance 1343 third read. Moved by council. Okay, thank you, Councilmember Riggins. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
By Councilmember Colin Erickson. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Right, that motion will be considered third read, and we will go ahead and move forward with that. All right, item number 9 is the consent calendar, which consists of the meetings from the February 18th, 2026 meeting and the approval of paying the city of Rexburg bills. Is there any questions on either one of these items? Any corrections to the minutes or any questions on any bills? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Mayor, I'll make that motion to approve the consent calendar and pay our bills.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember Colin Erickson. Is there a second to that motion? Second by Councilmember Riggins. All right, all in favor? Any opposed? All right. That motion carries. We will go ahead and enter the minutes and get the bills paid. All right, at this time, item number 10 is the roll call vote to move into executive session as per Idaho State Statute 74-2061F to communicate with legal counsel for the public agency to discuss the legal ramifications of and legal options for pending litigation or controversies not yet being litigated but imminently likely to be litigated. So I would need a motion, and then we'll have a roll call vote. So first I need a motion to move into executive session. Is there such a motion?
Executive session as per Idaho State 74-206.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Riggins. Is there a second to that motion? Second by Councilmember Reeser. Any further discussion? If not, I would entertain, or sorry, I need a roll call vote to do this.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
All right, it is unanimous. We will move into executive session. Thank you all for being here. Executive session, we do have to clear the room, and after which we will come back into regular session to adjourn. So at this time, we will go ahead and move into executive session. Thank you all for being here. We appreciate your attendance. If you want to come back for adjournment, you're welcome to do that. But that's not usually too exciting. Thank you. Oh, yeah, we'll talk about that so that we all know. That'll be a.
Sounds like it. Right here.